Are you ready for what's next? We at Broadridge are here to help you lead the next chapter of your digital transformation. Driven by powerful technologies, our products and solutions provide the critical infrastructure that powers investing, corporate governance, and communications. Come join us to be a part of this mission and enable better financial lives.
After leaving the job fair, Tom went to the market to buy fresh vegetables and meat and went back home. He asked Natalie to make a pot of chicken soup and added medicinal herbs that brought healing effects. In the ward's waiting area, Shiner and Petals were reading health articles as they tried to relieve their boredom. Linda was lying in her sick bed, reading the account of the attack on her and the others. The restaurant was smashed, and it had been closed. If she wanted to reopen it, it needed to be renovated. However, with the medical expenses, she was worried the money would not be enough for a renovation. A nurse sat next to her, ready to provide any need Linda may have. "Boss, you came!" Shiner called out when he saw Tom coming down the hallway. Both his and Petal's spirits rose. Tom nodded at them and looked at the nurse. Only then did he show a bit of relief. He entered the room, sat on the bedside, and placed a Tupperware container with the chicken soup on the table next to her. "What's up, Mom? Why are you frowning? I asked someone to make chicken soup for you and add medicinal herbs that can warm your body. This will be a good supplement for you to recuperate." Linda was surprised. "Who did you ask to make hot pot chicken soup for me? Our smashed restaurant is in a mess and I've given the chefs a holiday." Don't ask too many questions, Mom. I'll tell you later after the college entrance exam." Linda's countenance lit up. The most concerning matter for her was Tom's college entrance exam. "Tommy, you should be at school right now, shouldn't you? Why did you come to the hospital?" "I'm using self-study sessions, so it's all right, Mom. You haven't told me. Why were you frowning? Is there some problem you cannot solve?" Linda hesitated and then said with a forced smile, "Our family business was just getting better, and our income was better than before. Who would have thought some ungrateful guests would come and smash it? I began to calculate the remaining money in our hands right now. It won't be enough to renovate the restaurant." Tom laughed. "That's what you're worried about? Well, don't worry. Just give the renovation matter to Shiner. He has a lot of connections and can buy the materials for renovation at a low price. Besides, the president of the medical hospital invited me to be a visiting doctor in the hospital. For fear that I wouldn't comply with my promise, he gave me an advance payment of $100,000. He said it's half a year's salary. I'll give the money to Shiner and the others, so you won't have to worry about managing the renovation matter. When you've been discharged from the hospital, you'll be able to reopen the business again." "Son, the doctor said it would take 2 or 3 months for my wounds to be completely healed. If we close the business for that long, I'm afraid... Anyway, I believe in Shiner, Petals, and the others. Wait for them to recover from their wounds and give them the renovation matter. And I'll also give them some authority to handle the business in the restaurant." Tom's brows raised. He turned his head and looked at Shiner and Petals with a satisfied expression. He called them over and said, "Okay, since my mother is willing to give this matter to you, you take care of the renovation and the business and upgrade the decoration and the scale a little higher." "All right." Shiner and Petals immediately became overjoyed. Their hearts were particularly moved by the trust Linda put in them, and they were determined to expand the restaurant size with more stylish decorations and operate it better than before. A knock sounded on the door as the inpatient director and a few doctors came to inspect things. After he saw Tom, he greeted him with a smile. "Mr. Stevens, I didn't expect you would be here. I'll tell the cafeteria to make you something special immediately." "Thank you." "You don't need to thank me, Mr. Stevens. This is the command from the president. How are things with you, Linda?" Linda promptly replied, "I'm fine, thank you, Dr. Gomez." "That's good to hear. Then I'll let you go back to your visit. I have to go to other wards for inspection." Linda said, "Tommy, there are things I've yet to ask you. You have an acquaintance, no?" "I have many acquaintances, Mom. To whom are you referring?" Linda suddenly tensed up and asked again, "Do you have an acquaintance named Carl?" "If you mean Carl Jorgensen, then yes. He's the one who arranged for you to be able to move to the VIP ward." Linda shook her head. "Ah, right." Then she changed the topic. "You have been reading medical books, is that correct? And you have cured the patient President Fine was unable to cure? Is that for real? Tommy, you have to be honest. If you don't have the ability, quickly return that $100,000 to him and don't become a visiting doctor in this hospital." Tom said with a laugh, "Mom, don't even worry. Ever since I was a child, have you ever seen me do things I cannot handle?" Linda was silent. "Mom, I indeed have read a lot of medical books. I also understand a lot about the properties of medicinal herbs. I did cure that little girl. Actually, after I've taken the college entrance exam, I'll take you to visit her. Anyway, let's drop this topic. Quickly drink the chicken soup. It'll help you heal faster." Half an hour later, Tom left the hospital. When he returned to Southgate, he found Freddie and Anne waiting for him at the front gate, along with the 2 other girls. Freddie exclaimed, "Tom, you finally showed up. Are you really living in this place? And isn't this way too upscale for you? Since you weren't here, the security guards didn't want to let us enter the front gate, so I was just about to call you." "Yeah, the security in this place is great. Come with me. I've talked to Miss Price about letting you come here every night for lessons." Anne looked at Tom with curiosity and commented, "Tom, I can tell you've changed." "Changed? What do you mean?" "Your skin appears to be brighter than before, and I think you're taller also. Could it be that you've eaten a bodybuilder supplement these past weeks?" Tom understood. He had a cultivation breakthrough, and he indeed became taller. As for the skin, his cultivation had also affected it, making it brilliant. In order to divert Anne's attention, he said, "I didn't expect you to observe me so intensely. What is it? Do you have a crush on me?" "Bah!" Anne huffed as her face turned a deep shade of scarlet. Freddie said, "Tom, I haven't seen you for a while, but you've become even more attractive to women. Man, you need to tell me your secrets." "Focus on our work, will you?" Tom punched in his security code at the front gate, and they all entered his home. Freddie still couldn't get over the luxury of the place in which Tom lived. He exclaimed, "I think you really robbed a bank. You live in such a magnificent place. I heard the villas in Southgate are super expensive. This villa is valued at 9 digits, isn't it?" "Somebody gave it to me, Freddie. I didn't spend a dime." "No way. Someone gave this place to you? Are you a gigolo that some rich women are fostering?" Anne and the other 2 girls couldn't help but laugh. Although they were also amazed that Tom was living in such a luxurious villa, they thought Freddie's comment was really funny. They could tell his and Tom's relationship was really close. Tom told Natalie, "These are my classmates. They will come here to study every night until the college entrance exam. After 2 hours or so, please send us some supper." Natalie nodded. Freddie was surprised. "Tom, you have a nanny now? That's way too extravagant." Tom snapped, "She's my housekeeper. Her name is Natalie. Now, let's go to my den. We'll make up for your missed lessons there." The room was quite large. It had a conference table in the center with a dozen chairs around it. A bottle of water sat at 5 places. "Go ahead and study on your own. I need to speak with Natalie before we begin." Tom met Natalie in the corridor outside and said, "I've talked with Tiffany. She said she doesn't want to go to school for the time being, but I have hired private tutors from a private school to tutor her. They will come here every morning, afternoon, and evening to teach her. If she can make up for the missed curriculum, I'll send her to school by September 1st. Natalie was grateful. She nodded her head and said, "Thank you, Tom." Tom waved his hand and said, "Text me your bank account number and I'll transfer some money to your account." "Tom, that isn't necessary. I have some money." Tom told Natalie, "That's your money. You can keep it. Since you want to be my housekeeper, I'll pay for your service. Your salary will be $5,000 a month temporarily. When I become richer, I will raise your wage." Natalie didn't know what to say, so she simply nodded. Tom gazed at Natalie's appreciative expression. He suddenly recalled when he was in the immortal world and how he bribed people to serve him. However, the results of such behaviors were that he was deserted by his friends and allies alike. Now that he was back on Earth, he decided to change his actions, so he continued speaking. "Natalie, since you want to be my housekeeper, then you are also a family member. Tiffany is my apprentice, but she is also like a little sister to me. Therefore, wherever my home will be, it will be yours also. If you need anything, you can tell me freely. As long as I can do it, I definitely will." "Family?" Natalie froze. A layer of mist slowly emerged in her eyes. Since her husband died in a car accident and her daughter contracted a strange illness, she had sold her home and no longer felt the warmth of one. And now, listening to Tom's words, happiness filled her heart. In this split second, she felt closer to Tom than ever before. "Thank you." Tom smiled and said, "All right, I need to go to them for the missed lessons. You can go." "Okay." Tom watched as Natalie walked away. Once she was out of sight, he followed her using his spiritual sense and observed her as she went to her room. She sat on the bed, held her knees in her arms, and cried. Tom sighed and thought, "Poor woman." He suddenly thought of his mother, and his heart saddened. If Natalie was like this, what about his mother? He'd only recently met Natalie, and he considered her a family member. Wasn't his mother like this also? She had brought him up through bitter hardships. How many hardships has she gone through? How much pain has she suffered? How many times has she cried secretly? Tom swore to never let his mother suffer or feel wronged again. Tom returned and saw the students were whispering to each other. He cleared his throat to gain their attention and said, "Starting tomorrow, bring all of your books here. My teaching method is simple. As long as you can master the skills, you will be easily able to learn all the content inside the textbooks. Of course, after all, we are facing a college entrance exam, so I will extract all the important content for you and strive to make the results of your college entrance exam significantly improve." Anne held little hope for Tom's method. Initially, when Tom spoke to them in private about making up for missed sessions, she casually offered to study together. However, she really didn't think he could adequately prepare them, but she did not feel it was right to refute him in front of the others. "Then what shall we study today, Tom?" Tom replied, "Today, since you haven't brought your textbooks, we'll discuss other content. Language and literature, for one, will be on the exam. But I can tell you the key points. It should be helpful for you guys. As for foreign languages, mathematics, physics, and chemistry, you can ask me which parts you don't understand, and I can point them out to you." Good. They began asking about the topics they usually did not understand. Tom used his clear track of thinking and structured words, as well as his analytical method of the topics they did not understand, to explain to them layer by layer. A full 2 hours passed, but everyone lost track of the time. Whenever Tom explained the problem solving for the topic, they were pleasantly surprised and were suddenly able to clearly figure out what they did not understand previously. They found that if they could grasp one fundamental point, the rest was easier to understand. One of the girls named Susan exclaimed, "This is so magical. Before you explained this math problem, I didn't understand it. But after your explanation, I suddenly understood it clearly. It's just like the clouds disappearing, and I can see a bright sunny day. You are amazing, Tom. I think your level of knowledge compared to our math teacher is way higher." In addition, the girl called Brittany Blair also exclaimed, "Tom, you just explained a chemistry topic for me, and that's really skillful. According to the formula you used in explaining the analysis, it clears up my mind on a lot of related content. If I run across similar topics, I can easily answer them." Freddie held up his thumb and proclaimed, "That's Tom for you. He's indeed worthy to be my best friend." The doubt inside Anne's heart vanished upon hearing the high praises from her friends. Each topic from each discipline, which Tom had explained, gave her more confidence in his ability. She had found her own solutions to some of the problems, but they could not be compared to the solutions provided by Tom. His method was simple and structured. He provided layer upon layer of logical reasoning and analysis, making it both easy and quick to get the correct answers. She confessed earnestly, "Originally, I thought that by relying on my own results, I would pass the test, although it would be by a narrow margin and difficult. Sure, I would get into a lesser university, but after having gone through your tutoring, I have the confidence to pass the exam with flying colors and get into an even better university. Tom, thanks a bunch." "Don't mention it. Wait until you get excellent results from the test and are admitted to a top university. Then remember to treat me to a meal when you have time later." "Sure thing," Freddie said with a laugh. "Tom, even if I don't get admitted to a top university, I'll treat you to a meal. Oh, and my dad and mom also told me to invite you to visit our home." "Thanks, Freddie. Let's talk about it later." Tom did not want to see Freddie's mother yet. Otherwise, the matter of him saving her and killing her kidnappers would be exposed. Although he was perfectly aware Freddie's mother had accurately described him, still she had not actually seen him again after all. Even if she guessed, she would not be 100% sure. Natalie stepped into the room and asked, "Are you ready for dinner?" "Let's eat," Tom answered. Then he led the others to the dining room. When they arrived and saw the spread of food, Susan exclaimed, "Wow, this is really a fine dinner. Isn't it too sumptuous for us?" Freddie quickly sat down and said, "Damn, what a luxury meal. Tom, I'm so convinced that you are now just like a king. How about I move in to live with you?" "Request denied. I'm afraid you'd eat me out of house and home." Freddie rolled his eyes, grunted, and began to eat. After dinner, they rested for a while, and then Tom began to tutor them again. They studied well into the night. Tom noticed the weariness on their faces. "It's already very late. Are you returning to school, or will you spend the night here? If you spend the night here, you can go to the guest rooms to sleep. I've got things to do tomorrow, so I can't go to school to attend class. You can have your breakfast before you leave." "This is not appropriate," Anne exclaimed. She lived at the school, and this was her first time spending the night in a classmate's home. She felt it was inappropriate. The other two girls also showed hesitation at the offer. Tom said, "If you don't want to spend the night here, you can go back. The real estate management office should have someone on duty now, and I'll ask if someone is available to take you back to school." Freddie contested, "Hey, it's so late. If we go back to school now, how many hours are we going to sleep? Tonight, I will sleep here. Tom, give me a room. If we study every night like this, I'll sleep here too." Anne looked at the other two girls and said, "Well, since it's so late, don't call the real estate management office. I'll stay here too." "We'll stay also," the other girls agreed. "As you wish. There are a lot of guest rooms here, enough for each one of you. I'll ask Natalie to arrange them for you." Half an hour later, Susan and Brittany decided to stay in the same room together. They took a bath, put on their provided pajamas, and sat on the bedside chatting. "Brittany, we misunderstood Tom before, big time. Unexpectedly, he not only helped us make up for the missed lessons, he even asked someone to prepare supper for us and let us stay in his house. He's really good. I also never thought Tom would have such a good disposition. At first I was worried he would bicker about the matter at school, but it seems my worries were unnecessary since he's very amiable. That bastard Duke has always bad-mouthed Tom behind his back. When we get back to school tomorrow, we should tell everyone Duke is a liar, because Tom is not the person he says he is." I used to think Duke was graceful and his academic record was so good. Never did I expect his character to be so bad. We must let the class know about his true face. Ah, right, today we gained something big. If we really get good results on the college entrance exam, we have to express our thanks and treat him to a meal." "No problem." There was an overgrown piece of land that had been undeveloped for a long time near the Star City development zone. It was auctioned by the city